Hello everyone, and welcome back. I'm guessing it's been, I don't know, probably 3 weeks ago since I planted the onions and the potatoes. And you can see here the onions are up anywhere from 6 inches to some of those are up already about a foot. The potatoes, which I planted deep, are starting to poke through. You can see one that's trying to get up here and get some sunlight right here. This one here has already made it out. Part of it over there is trying to make it out. And back here with the whites, they're coming up pretty good also. But now it's time to start getting the seed plants in. I would have actually liked to have gotten them in a little bit earlier, but the weather has this has been a cold spring. Today right now it's 65 degrees and the sun is out. Yesterday it got to 43 or 44. The day before that was no better and it rained all day long. It's been wet. We've already had over 6 inches of rain this month alone, which is way higher than usual. This is the third coldest May we've had on record in this state in Minnesota here. So yeah, it's just been last week. I don't know what day it was. Was it Wednesday of last week? There was frost over everything. So I'm glad I didn't have any plants in. And you usually never want to plant your plants until at least Memorial, which just happened, Memorial Day. Some people like to do it after Mother's Day, and this year you would have had a couple of freezes in between there, which would have wiped out your plants. So anyway, I'm going to do the garden a little bit different this year. Over on this end of the garden, where I usually plant all the squash and cucumbers, all the viney stuff, I'm going to do corn for 4 rows, maybe 5 rows. We'll see. I've done corn here before. I can grow great corn, and I never have much trouble with critters coming into the garden and bothering it. You get the occasional deer that'll come in and you think you'd get more. But a couple of times that I've done corn, and I might have videos when I grew corn here years ago, I don't know. Raccoons have come in before and started messing with my corn. So I usually don't grow it because I can go up the street and for $4 a dozen or $5 a dozen buy all the corn I want when it's in season. So, but you know what, it looks really neat and it's fun to grow, so I thought, this year I'm going to switch it up. This soil here has, needs a different crop on this side, so this year let's do corn. I'm going to be having my rows 30 inches apart. If you follow the instructions, it should be anywhere between 24 inches and 36 inches. I have went down as low as 18 inches and it did just fine. It's just a real pain getting between there to weed that. Another thing, if you're growing corn, don't do one long row. It would be better to do a block of at least 4 rows. Guarantee there's going to be some storm that's going to come through, and if it's a block of like 4 rows, the corn has something to blow against instead of just blowing over. I'll guarantee you that we're going to have a storm this year that's going to come in here and it's going to wipe out some of the corn. It's going to bend it right over flat. A lot of times it'll still pop back up. You never know. But if you only have 1 row and you get any type of a gust of wind that comes through, you're going to have a lot worse results than if you have a block of corn, or like I'm going to do here, at least 4 rows of corn. As far as the plants go here, we're going to go 9 inches apart. And that's actually what's recommended. I've done it down as close as 6. That works just fine too. You can go up to like 12, but 9 inches works pretty good. You can get your, my hoe in between the plants and stuff, and 6 inches gets a little bit tight because the roots on that corn kind of go out like this, and you have to be real careful getting in there. So 9 inches to me is pretty much ideal to get the most amount of plants and still be able to get in there and not damage it when I'm weeding it. when I plant this corn, I'm going to plant them 1 inch deep. Actually, like one knuckle about, you know, just a little bit more than that. This is about 1 inch, and I'm doing 2 types right here. Actually, I'm not going to have enough seeds to do all this at all. I'll get more, and I don't mind planting them a little bit farther apart, but I have some that is, this one is a 75 to 80 days to harvest, and this one over here is a 63 day. 63 day you can be pretty safe with. You know, they say our growing season up here is, I don't know, 100, 120 days. You're getting out there. I don't like to buy anything that's over a 75 or 80 day, because even though this one says 63 days, I'm not going to have corn in 2 months. It just doesn't happen. It's going to take 2 weeks for it to pop out of the ground, pretty much. And then it's true in the hot summer days that you can get, if it's a hot, humid summer day, you can literally, like they say, watch the corn grow, and that's pretty much true. But we have so many days that are not hot and humid, cold, you know, and just it just doesn't grow as good. Also, you're going to want to put more than 1 kernel in the hole. 2 or 3 is good, because they're not all going to germinate. Also, as kind of a rule of thumb, if you have a 60-day corn versus a 100-day corn, your 100-day corn is going to be taller plants than your 60-day corn. I'm not saying that that always is that way, but pretty much from what I've seen, that's how it works. So when you plant in your garden, at least for me, the sun, you know, comes up in the east, which is that direction. So that side of the garden gets sun first, and then it goes over here. I want my taller plants on the end of the garden so they're not shading the shorter plants during the day. Sun, you know, corn says it needs full sun, which means at least 6 hours of sun during the day. I for sure get that here, but you can definitely tell, you know, stuff gets stunted, so it's best to do it that way. Put your the shorter ones towards the sunrise and the taller ones towards the sunset. If I ran the garden the other way, I don't know what you do then. I mean, it comes up and it would go down the rows. I don't know. This is the way I've done it, and this is pretty much all I know. I get a question a lot how big the garden is. 27. The garden is 30 feet this way, and I believe it's 42 or 44 that way. Surprisingly, I got 3 rows out of that that bigger thing of corn. That's a hybrid type, so it's got the yellow and the white. Now I just have 2 small bags, and I want to do at least 4 rows. I wouldn't mind doing 5, and then I want my bean row right there. I did space the beans 36 inches from the onions, 36 inches from the corn, because that's the one row that you're going up and down a lot picking beans, and if you don't have room to get around in there, it really, really is a pain. Nine inches is always a good number for me. I remember when I was little, when I was in school and we were learning multiplication, I had the hardest time with 9s. I couldn't get it. And I don't know why, this is the only thing I can really remember about that kind of stuff. And my mom sitting there, it seemed like for hours, drilling me. It's so easy. 9, 18, 27, 36, 45, 54, and it's always stayed in my head. And 9s are like super easy, so I should be planting everything 9 inches apart. Well, now that I've got 5 rows of corn planted, might as well put the beans in. I have 3 different types. One of them is a wax bean, which I always grow, but I like when I do a seed tape, like I got seed tape for the carrots, it does a 22-foot row, and this is, 30 feet. So then I'll put wax beans at the end of that row. So there, I just can put these here and there. I got the Provider this year. Last year I did Provider. They were really good. My favorite has always been Bush Lake 274, and as I've said in previous years' videos, lately they just do not germinate very well. They used to be, my grandma told me they were the best, and for years I grew them, but now they just haven't been germinating good. And last year I did Provider and the 274s, and the Provider out yielded them quite a bit. The plants came up better. And then I got some called the Big Kahuna. These are another one that's a bush. I only like growing bush beans. I hate doing the pole beans. And these grow 11-inch long, small plants, 11-inch long beans. So I just had to try that. I really do. I'm gonna plant these 1-inch deep. I plant them 3 inches apart. They're saying thin them to 16 inches for those. This one it says 6 inches. I just plant mine 3 inches apart. I don't take anything else out. They don't seem to choke or anything. They just do fine. Beans are just like with anything else. I mean, put 2 or 3 seeds in each one because they're not all going to germinate. And I don't thin them out after they pop up either. If 3 of them come up or 2 of them come up, I just leave them all there. I only got the 1 bag of these. I'm not sure that this will make it all the way to the end, but I don't think it will. Oh well, we'll just put wax beans at the end of this row. Well, you guys have seen me use this before, the seed tapes for the carrots, and I don't care what anybody says. I just think that is the neatest thing ever. It's so hard to come in after and weed out those carrots, which you still have to do to thin them, but not nearly as much. Much less chance of the water washing these away. I'm growing the Scarlet Nantes. The only ones I grow are Nantes and Danver Half-Longs. They had the Nantes in the seed tape, so I went with those. My grandma told me years ago that those are her favorite ones to grow, and I don't think I've ever grown anything else but that. I'm sure you've seen the seed tape before. I mean, come on. Perfectly straight row. You plant this with just a 1/2 inch of soil over the top of it. You can see here it's made out of like a toilet paper material. And see, the seeds they're not perfect, but they're spaced for you, so you have much less thinning them out. For the rest of this row now, I'm going to plant radishes, and the reason I'm going to do it over here is this part of the garden, there's that big tree there, gets shaded. Radishes are a cold weather plant. My biggest problem with radishes when I grow them is they'll grow and immediately go up to seed. And if yours is doing that, that's because it's just too warm. They like it cooler, so maybe I'll get some here. My daughter Emily likes them. They're okay once in a while. I did get a kind that were a giant. They're supposed to make up to a 3-inch radish. I like to try stuff like that. I mean, otherwise radishes are just pretty boring. We did make that keto radish mashed potatoes earlier this year, and that was pretty good, so maybe I'll make that again. So these radishes are called cherry giants. With radishes, you want to plant them about a 1/2 inch under the soil, just like you do carrots. And when I do this, I like to try to place my seeds about 2 inches apart, so I do not have to come in here and thin these out. That's the one thing in the garden that drives me nuts, is having to come back and thin. Even though you still have to do it with the carrots, you have to be, for me anyway, I have to be in the right state of mind to get down there and pick between them. Sometimes it takes beers for me to be able to pull that off. Okay everyone, well thanks a lot for watching. We have the corn planted, the beans planted, onions and the potatoes were already in. We've got the radishes planted. We still have to get our tomato plants and our other plants. And I think that's almost everything for the seeds except for the snow peas. I do like the edible pod peas. I will see you guys on the next video. The apple trees are blossoming also.